Naseem here. Now today I'm going to be giving you guys a very special look at the brand new Pixel 6a. Now if I were to describe the Pixel 6a with one simple statement that sums it up as a whole, I would say that it has the potential to be the best budget phone. Keyword, potential. And we're all familiar with the term potential. It basically means that someone or something can be good or great, but it's just not there yet. You may have the potential to be the best at basketball, but in order to reach that next level, you may need to develop your shot. Don't get me wrong, you're good, but you can be much better. Well, in the case of the Pixel 6a, I would say that based on my first impressions with it, it's a really solid phone that most people will enjoy. It has a good display that is colorful and vibrant. It has a nice premium back along with a Gorilla Glass front to ensure durability. And it has an amazingly cheap price with the base version starting at $449. And although these things are great, there are some things that really bother me when it came to the 6a. The fact that Google decided to remove the headphone jack, the fact that the display only had a 60Hz refresh rate, and the fact that it didn't have any wireless charging. But besides some of the things that I think Google missed out on when it came to the Pixel 6a, I still wanted to let you guys in on my first impressions with it and why I think that it's a really good phone that many people will enjoy. And before I give you guys some reasons as to why I think that the 6a is a great phone based on my first impressions, the first thing that we have to do is unbox it, right? Now, the first thing that I noticed when I was unboxing the Pixel 6a was that just like on every other Pixel, you have that very clean white aesthetic that makes the experience feel similar to other models. Also, we have the color Google logo on top, the Pixel 6a wording, and finally, we have the beautiful 6a, which looks just like the regular Pixel 6. On the right side of the box, we have the name of the phone. On the left side, again, we have the Google text. On the top and bottom, we have the additional branding. And on the back, we have the additional info about your purchase. And now the first thing that we see when we take off the top of the box is the Pixel itself, and I will say that it has the perfect size to it along with a pretty nice feel. On the back we have the glass finish that is very similar to the regular 6 and 6 Pro, and when I put it side by side with the 6, I can hardly tell the difference between the two. I'm really glad that Google kept that candy bar style camera that validates the new era of the Pixel, but one thing that I did notice was that the 6a's camera is skinnier and less dense, so you'll still be able to tell the difference. On the right side of the phone we have our power button and volume rockers. On the top we have our built-in speaker and mic. On the left, we have our SIM ejection port. And last but not least, on the bottom, we have our USB-C port, mics, and speakers. And when we look at the screen, we can see the 6.1-inch display that is smaller than the regular 6, but I personally think that it's the best size since it fits in really well with my hand and I don't have to stretch out my fingers too much. Now, the last things that we have in the box of the 6a is our starter guide book that emphasizes this phone's use of the Tensor chip, the SIM ejection tool, a USB Type-C cable, and a USB-A to USB-C piece that transfers data onto your new phone. Now, the Pixel 6a has 3 different colors in its catalog, starting with the colorful sage, which is the only color that pops out in the lineup. And for the more uniform colors, you have chalk, which is white, and then there's charcoal, which is the black version. And the version that I have is sage, and as you can see, it looks really good. The colorful aspect along with the black rails give it a good amount of depth. I really admired that there were different shades of green. Even when we look at it in the sun, we can see that it looks like it isn't cheap while also giving off a very nice clean look that I think many people will enjoy. I also really loved how it had the matte sides that were the same color and continued the clean colorful aesthetic of the phone. The only thing that I wish Google could have done was put a headphone jack on the top or bottom like they did with the 5a. But all in all, it's still a really good looking phone. Now the Pixel 6a has a 6.1-inch 1080p display that I will say looked pretty good for its price based off of my first impression. It was vibrant, the quality was good, and it did good, so I was pretty satisfied with the outcome. I also really like the fact that the size was big with very small bezels. Like right here, you can see I'm playing the game and you can see that it's big enough to still get the job done and give you a good visual experience. Now something that I didn't like was the fact that it had a 60Hz display, but if I'm being honest, it was still smooth. It wasn't the smoothest phone, but it still was really good for its price. And me complaining about the 60Hz display is kind of a nitpick because at the end of the day, people who buy these phones won't care about the refresh rate. Apple has been putting 60Hz refresh rates on $800 phones, so I don't think there should be heavy criticism with Google. But I would like for the A series to improve every year, so I'm hoping 90Hz will be the new 60Hz. The Touch ID sensor wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. It reminded me of the Pixel 6 when I first got it, and even though it's cheaper, I would have expected Google to improve its Touch ID functionality given the reputation that it has. But besides that, the display was really responsive out the gate. Everything that I clicked on and moved responded really quickly, and I would say that overall, it felt much better than its price. The 6a will also have the exact same software as the 6 and 6 Pro, so if you're a fan of Google's software and ecosystem in general, you'll definitely love what this phone has to offer. Another thing that I wanted to mention was that you'll still be able to get updates for up to 5 years, which makes this better than any other budget phone when it comes to longevity. Now when it comes to build quality on the Pixel 6a, I will say that when compared to other phones at this price range, it was one of the most premium builds in that market. Again, I really like the glass back for the premium feel, but the only downside to it was the fact that I'm using it without a case, so it will often be very slippery and give me a feeling that I might drop it. But besides that, the front and back of the 6a has a Gorilla Glass build, which means that in most cases, if you do drop it, then it most likely won't break, which is really good news for people who drop their phones a lot. Again, I love the matte side, so it made the phone feel much more smooth. It made the phone feel much more satisfying. And this is the reason why I think that the 6a has the perfect phone build quality. Now, when it comes to physicality, the Pixel 6a has a height of 6 inches, a width of 2.8 inches, and a depth of 8.9 millimeters, making it an overall nicely sized phone. And right here, you can see how well it fit into my hands. It's not too small and it's not too big, so I was able to get a comfortable grip on it, which made me less likely to drop it. And even if you are someone who has smaller hands, it will be a very comfortable fit since you don't have to struggle when trying to reach to the top of the screen and can palm most of the phone. It has a really good weight to it as well. Wasn't too light and wasn't too heavy, which resulted in a much more comfortable fit in hand. And now the Pixel 6 has a 12 megapixel wide and ultra wide camera that can shoot up to 4K at 60 frames per second. It also has a front camera that is at 8 megapixels and can shoot up to 1080p at 30 frames per second. And when we look at the daytime outside photos, we can see that it's pretty good for its price. The skies look nice, the environment looked nice, and my selfies were pretty okay at best. I also really admired the fact that it was able to handle my skin tone really well. I didn't look too yellow or red, and it let in enough light to where I can say it was a quality selfie, and I like that. Now when we look at the daytime inside photos, I would say that these were also pretty good for its price. It let in enough light so that it could capture objects better. It was also able to get in good quality photos with very little grain. It was able to capture my skin color really well, which made me want to take more selfies. And it was good enough to give me confidence that I could use this camera on a daily basis. And I also wanted to give you guys an example of how the phone records video before I gather my final thoughts about it in my final review. And now when we look at additional specs on the Pixel 6a, it has a Google Tensor chip that can be found in the 6 and 6 Pro. It has a storage starting at 128 gigs with 6 gigs worth of RAM. It has a 4400 milliamp hour battery that supports 20 watt fast charging, and it has a IP67 dust and water resistance rating. And there it is, you guys, my review on the Pixel 6a. Now stay tuned for more because I will be giving a weekly update on the 6a where I will be going into detail with how it holds up. But let me know down in the comments, do you guys think that I should do a day in the life with the Pixel 6a? Let me know. And if you guys made it to the end of this video, I would like to say thank you for sticking around, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It will be very appreciated. And as far as social media, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.